do you know what? Like, it's frustrating because you hear everything that Brian Norman Sr. or his daddy's saying, and none of it really makes sense. Like, if this is a really simple situation. The first offer that was made to Brian Norman was nicely over $1 million. They said that they felt that, not insulting, but was nowhere near. We've made 2 more offers, $250,000 every time now, to levels that Brian Norman will never see. And it's like, we keep getting told we're close, then we go back and make another offer, and then we're told by his team that we're actually not that close. And I start to think, Brian Norman, do you want this fight, or are you clout chasing, or, as the others might say over here, cap, or whatever it is?
Not sure if that works, but
not sure it is either. But it's like, do you want to be great, Brian Norman? Like, not being funny, who is Brian Norman? I know Brian Norman's a good fighter, but no one knows who Brian Norman is. We're giving you a bucket load of money and an opportunity for you to unify the division against, in my opinion, one of the top pound-for-pound fighters in the world. Now, you say Boots is overrated. You say he's not the bogeyman. Then why wouldn't you take this bucket load of money to prove that you're the best welterweight in the world? So let's just stop with the interviews online. We've gone back 3 times now with more money, to a point, like, with all due respect to Brian Norman, he shouldn't be making this kind of money. But we're ready and we're prepared to pay him it. And then we get told, oh, you're miles off. It's like, we just saw an interview with this guy saying we're right close. We've just gone back with another $250,000, and now you're telling us we're miles away. So I don't believe the bullshit of Brian Norman and the team. If you want the fight, you would have taken the fight.
Dontaesboxingnation, what's going on, guys? So without a doubt, this is the worst year of boxing in quite some time. It might be the worst year of boxing ever. Every time we get close to a fight happening that fans want to see, one of the fighters ends up pulling the plug on that fight. We were close to getting the biggest fight that can be made, the biggest and most significant fight that can be made at the welterweight division, which is Jaron Ennis versus Brian Norman Jr. So we heard a couple weeks ago that a whole bunch of welterweights was turning down the opportunity to fight Jaron Ennis, something that Jaron has been dealing with ever since he made a name in the sport. Stanionis, he was one of them, and Brian Norman was one of the fighters that turned down the fight. But when Brian Norman came out responding to this, making it sound like he actually wanted the fight, I actually started to believe him. And so did Eddie Hearn. Matter of fact, I made a video saying that it sounds like Brian wants to fight. Brian, he was claiming that they had made a counter offer and DAZN had never got back to him. So after Eddie heard that, they actually increased the offer. Originally, they offered Brian Norman $1.5 million. Then they increased that to 1.7. Now Brian is asking for 2.2 million. And as you guys seen in the interview, Jaron Ennis, he's still trying to push for the fight. He's still trying to negotiate to make the fight happen.
We sent another offer, and he asked for almost double, so we trying our best to make this fight happen.
How many offers have you sent so far?
3.
So you've gone up
each and every time.
Each and every time?
Each and every time. Yep. Okay. So I don't know if they looking for a retirement check or what. Like I said, I'm here to collect belts. I'm here to be undisputed, and collect all these belts and make the biggest fights possible happen.
What's the most important thing to you right now? Is it money or is it legacy?
Legacy. I'm here to be undisputed. I'm taking over this weight division. I'm here to collect belts.
So despite the fact that Eddie Hearn, he kept increasing the amount that they were going to pay Brian Norman, for some reason, out of nowhere, Norman stops, he ends negotiations, walks away. His response to all of this was basically, they didn't give me the money that I wanted. We'll try again next year. And then he said Jaron Ennis is used to just offering people whatever they want to offer them, and they take the fight, even though they continue to increase the purse for Brian. So around the same time that Brian Norman came out with this post, then it gets reported that he's going to be fighting against a Derek Cuevas on Keyshawn Davis's undercard. How do you go from an opportunity to fight in a main event in a big significant unification bout to fighting on the undercard of a fighter who's not even a champion? I mean, I could understand if Brian Norman was fighting on the undercard of a big fight, like maybe Gervonta Davis versus Lomachenko, a unification bout. But he's fighting on Keyshawn Davis's undercard, which shows you the type of drawing power that he has. Not to mention, there's a very good chance that he's not going to make half of the money that was offered to him to fight against Jaron Ennis. Brian says we'll try again next year, but Brian knows there's a good chance that Jaron won't even be at 147 next year. I mean, Eddie Hearn, he's already trying to push Jaron to move up to 154 where all the fights are at. Guys, this is the reason why unifications in the sport of boxing need to be mandated. And we all need to spread the word on this. Mandated unifications can easily be adopted in the sport of boxing. Every champion should be ordered to unify at least once a year. Now, if those two fighters can't come to an agreement, then it goes to a purse bid. And if one champion wants to unify and the other champion doesn't, then that champion, he gets stripped. Mandated unifications would fix so many problems in the sport of boxing. Listen, athletes in every sport, their goal is to make as much money as they can to secure it in for the rest of their lives, right? So with that being said, I think Brian is playing a dangerous game because he's trying to hold on to that belt, hoping that maybe he can get some big name that's more of an easier win, maybe a guaranteed win. Maybe he gets some big name from 140 to move up to 147. And even if it's not an easier fight or a guaranteed win, maybe he feels if he waits around and just holds the belt long enough, he'll get another big payday offer. But the thing is, you never know when you're going to end up fighting against a guy who's supposed to be a guaranteed win, and you end up losing to that guy and losing your title, which is your leverage. You end up losing to that guy for a very small payday, a fraction of what you could have made against fighters like Jaron Ennis. This happens all the time in the sport. It happened to Teofimo Lopez when he lost to George Kambosos. It happened to Sabriel Matias when he lost to Liam Paro. Now, even though Matias was fighting against better competition than Lopez, that was still supposed to be a guaranteed win for Matias. So this gamble that Brian Norman is taking right now, he better hope for his sake that it pays off. Meanwhile, now Jaron Ennis is either forced to fight the guy that he had already beat, that European guy who just kept moving around the ring, barely even punching, that none of these race fans like Teddy Atlas, for example, called boring. In fact, some of these race fans are putting up clips of the punches that this guy landed on Jaron, almost trying to make it sound as if, or make it look as if he won the fight. We know what time it is. So Jaron Ennis, he's in a bad situation because he's looking at being stripped if he doesn't fight this same guy again that he beat easy already, or he might just have to move up to 154. But we all know that when you move up in weight, there's no guarantee you're going to be the same fighter or look the same, because now you're dealing with a little bit more adversity, bigger fighters, guys that are naturally stronger. We'll see in the future or the near future how Jaron adapts to that. I mean, Jaron Ennis' father and trainer, he already said that they would knock out Madrimov, which would be a huge fight for Jaron and a huge fight in general, especially the way Madrimov performed against the best fighter in the world, Crawford. With that being said, we'll see what happens. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.
All right, now check this out, guys. If you're looking to repair eczema scars, burns and bruises, dark spots and blemishes,
Fever blisters, diabetic ulcers.
this right here is the perfect product for you guys. It's called Elo Deki Face and Body Oil. Athletes and top-ranking boxers, they're also using it after training to reduce swelling, inflammation, and to ease the pain. So get yours today. Go to elodeki.com.
Like them on Facebook and follow them on Instagram.
Let me tell you guys about Issa Israel Law Firm. It is a full-service legal practice based in Denver, Colorado, an emerging hub for combat sports and high-altitude training. If you're a fighter inside or outside of the ring and you need a law firm you can trust to fight for you, visit thefighterfirm.com or email help@iilawfirm.com. Legal representation is usually limited to plaintiffs or defendants in Colorado, but iFirm can help anyone in the world with trademarking their business name, logos, and U.S. immigration issues. This brother has been my attorney for a while and helped guide me through all kinds of business and civil issues, so make sure you guys go to thefighterfirm.com.